I still remember the exact moment my life in Maple Grove Estates flipped from peaceful suburbia to full-blown insanity. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon. I unlocked my front door, stepped inside, and instantly froze. There, crouched in the middle of my living room like a raccoon that had somehow learned to accessorize, was Patricia Belmont, our infamously self-important HOA president. Her blazer was perfectly pressed, her posture stiff with superiority, and her tote bag, stuffed full with what I immediately recognized as my belongings, sat beside her like a loyal accomplice. She wasn't panicked. She wasn't startled. No, Patricia was muttering to herself about proper color coordination, while rearranging my bookshelf as if she were preparing a luxury home for an open house showing. I stood there in stunned silence, and she didn't even notice me. But what she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that 3 hidden cameras were recording every bizarre second. 2 hours later, I watched from behind my front window as police officers escorted her through my yard in handcuffs, her blazer rumpled and her ego in shambles. But before we get to that glorious moment, I need to go back and explain how the most controlling woman in Maple Grove Estates finally met the one person she wasn't able to intimidate. When I bought my home on Sycamore Lane 3 years ago, I truly believed I had found the perfect place to live. Tree-lined streets, neatly trimmed lawns, friendly neighbors who actually waved. It was the kind of community real estate brochures brag about. The HOA rules were nothing unusual. Basic stuff: keep the lawn trimmed, approved mailbox colors, seasonal decorations removed on time. Easy. I'm a detail-oriented guy. My lawn stayed at exactly 2.5 inches. My mailbox was the official forest green. My holiday lights came down on January 2nd, exactly as listed in section 12.4 of the handbook. Life was smooth, predictable, and peaceful, until Patricia Belmont was elected HOA president. Patricia was a real estate agent in her early 50s with a personality sharp enough to slice granite. She carried authority the way a peacock carries feathers, loudly, unnecessarily, and with a strange sense of pride. Within weeks of her election, the entire neighborhood felt different. Suddenly, a neighbor was written up for owning an excessively whimsical doormat. Another family received a citation because their garden gnomes looked overly cheerful. Patricia was marching up and down the street twice a day, clipboard tucked under her arm like a weapon, hunting for imaginary infractions. My first real taste of her madness arrived on a chilly Tuesday morning in March. I was enjoying coffee on my porch when Patricia marched toward me with military precision. "Mr. Davidson," she barked, using a tone typically reserved for criminal interrogations. "We need to discuss your window treatments." "I blinked her." "My blinds." She jabbed her pen toward my windows. "The slats on your living room blinds are angled differently from the ones upstairs. This disrupts the harmonious appearance of the block." First I laughed. Then I realized she was completely serious. "Patricia," I said slowly, "there's nothing in the HOA rules about blind angles." Her face flushed bright red. "The guidelines clearly state homes must maintain visual harmony," she snapped. That was the moment I knew. Patricia had officially detached from reality. Over the next few months, violations poured in. My porch had excessive decorative elements. It was a single wind chime my daughter made. My terracotta flower pots were aesthetic inconsistencies. My garden stones suddenly violated neighborhood symmetry. Patricia began loitering in front of my house, taking photos like she was documenting a crime scene. Then things took a darker turn. Little items around my home began disappearing or shifting. My wind chime vanished. My flower pots were rearranged. Decorative stones disappeared. A note appeared on my back window reading, "This frosted glass is not approved." That note was in Patricia's unmistakable handwriting. That's when I knew. She wasn't harmless. She was trespassing. I told my neighbor, Robert. His eyes widened. "Dude, I thought I was losing it," he whispered. "Last month, our garden flamingo disappeared. We found it in the trash, and our gate had been locked. Someone had climbed over. That someone was Patricia, and that's when I installed cameras. I placed a hidden camera in the living room disguised as a vase, one in the kitchen disguised as a smoke detector, one outside covering both doors. All footage saved automatically to the cloud. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Then came June 23rd. I was in a meeting downtown when my phone buzzed. Motion alert. Then another. Then another. I finally opened the live feed, and my blood ran cold. There was Patricia, in dark sunglasses, cutting through my back gate with bolt cutters. She pulled out a thin metal tool and jimmied open my kitchen window with practiced precision. Within minutes, she was crawling into my home. I called 911 immediately. As I raced home, I kept watching the footage. Patricia wandered through my home like she owned the place. She took my daughter's wind chime, grabbed my couch cushions, stole a succulent, tossed a wooden home sweet home sign into her bag, and the entire time she photographed each item and wrote detailed notes, manufacturing violations to justify stealing them. She even sat at my dining table and filled out a stack of violation notices. In my own house. I arrived home just as 2 police cruisers pulled into my driveway. The officers were skeptical until I showed them the live camera feed. Instantly, everything changed. They ordered me to stay put and approached the door. Inside, Patricia was still rearranging my bookshelf. When they knocked, the expression on her face was priceless. She froze, eyes wide. Then, shockingly, she tried to regain her arrogant composure. She grabbed her tote bag, straightened her blazer, and opened the door with the confidence of someone attending a charity gala. "Officers," she said coolly, "I can explain. I'm the HOA president. I have full authority to inspect properties." Officer Chen's eyebrow rose. "Ma'am, did you enter this home without permission?" "I did not break in," she insisted. "I conducted a necessary inspection." Officer Davis held up her overflowing tote. "Is this his property?" "These are all HOA violations," she replied smugly. "I removed them for the good of the neighborhood." That was the final nail in her coffin. Minutes later, Officer Davis said the words I'd been waiting months to hear. "Patricia Belmont, you're under arrest for breaking and entering, burglary, and property damage." She exploded. "You can't do this. I'm the HOA president." But the cuffs clicked around her wrists all the same. Neighbors peeked from their windows. Some stepped outside, barely hiding their satisfaction. It was the most peaceful moment Maple Grove had seen in 18 months. Within hours, the entire neighborhood was buzzing. My phone rang nonstop with neighbors sharing their own stories. Robert had footage of Patricia in his backyard. The Johnsons said she rearranged their garage tools. Mrs. Patterson admitted Patricia stole from her ceramic cat collection. The next day, the story hit the local news. HOA president arrested for breaking into homes. Her mugshot went viral. A meme spread everywhere. When you take the HOA job a little too seriously. 3 days later, the HOA held an emergency meeting. It was chaos. Homeowners demanded answers. Records were reviewed. And then the bombshell dropped. Patricia had used HOA funds to purchase bolt cutters, lockpicking tools, surveillance equipment. The board removed her immediately, and multiple homeowners prepared lawsuits. When Patricia appeared in court for arraignment, she looked nothing like the polished tyrant we once knew. Her posture was slumped. She seemed smaller. The prosecutor listed the charges. 15 counts of breaking and entering, 15 counts of burglary, property destruction, misuse of HOA funds. Her lawyer tried to argue she believed she had implied authority. Judge Morrison shut that down hard. Being HOA president does not give you the right to enter homes. It does not permit theft. And it certainly does not justify using HOA funds for criminal acts. By September, Patricia accepted a plea deal. 18 months in minimum security prison, $30,000 restitution, 300 hours of community service, permanent removal from the HOA board. The day she was sentenced, the courtroom was full of neighbors. Patricia trembled as she admitted her crimes aloud. "I entered homes without permission. I took property that wasn't mine. I misused HOA funds. Each confession seemed to drain the life out of her. When the judge pronounced the sentence, Patricia broke down completely, sobbing as the bailiff led her away in handcuffs. The neighborhood that once feared her watched silently. And for the first time in a long time, Maple Grove Estates finally felt peaceful again.